Hey guys, it's Mr. Mabini here, and welcome to my 2020 Supercars predictions. Just keep in mind that my predictions were made before the Adelaide 500, So DJR Team Penske. Number 17, Scott McLaughlin, will undoubtedly be a contender for the championship in 2020. Whether he can beat the opposition will come down to how strong and consistent they are. There would also be the presence of discussion of his future in IndyCar after a successful test and upcoming maiden race event have added to his year. Fabian Coulthard will be hungry to prove to himself as well as to others that he can beat Triple Eight and all other rivals as well as Scott can. He was good in the early and late year in 2019, but the mid-year was miserable. Still one of the best drivers in the category, will be one to watch, podiums and possibly race wins. Jamie Whincup is always a challenger. He has the self-confidence to win the 2020 championship, but perhaps younger and more risk-averse rivals could beat him. Expect podiums and possibly race wins. Shane Van Gisbergen has been a contender every year since he joined Triple Eight and will undoubtedly challenge again. Keeping up with McLaughlin and having the team make no mistakes will get SVG his evasive second title. Tickford Racing. Jack LeBrock moves from one of the slowest to one of the fastest cars in the field. 2018 showed potential and 2019 showed maturity. So now 2020 will show serious growth as a driver. He will surprise, top 15 of the championship. Cameron Waters just needs a faster car. He improved on his 2017 career best and now is able to deliver a top 5 championship result. He will just have to outdo his closest rivals. Lee Holdsworth will have more of the same as he had in 2019. Now used to the car, it is about mounting a strong challenge for the top 5 of the championship. He qualified very well in 2019 and didn't get involved in any accidents. He should be able to stay in the top 10 of the championship. Will Davison was impressive in 2019, but whether he can push into the championship top 5 is a different question. Tickford struggled at Symmons Plains and Newcastle, so if Will can push for a reasonable result there, then he should be able to challenge for the top 5. He will be able to stay in the top 10 at least. Erebus Motorsport. David Reynolds remains the team's best driver and one of the category's top drivers. Erebus made mistakes last year that they have learned from and will continue to be one of the best teams in 2020. Reynolds and Erebus will be impressive at Bathurst as always. Reynolds will be in the top 10 of the championship and will score multiple podiums. A win is possible, but there is strong opposition. Anton De Pasquale has the talent, but not the experience to challenge for wins. He will edge closer to the top 10 of the championship and will perhaps finish inside it. A podium or two would not be surprising. A maiden pole position would be a logical next step for the quali ace. Kelly Racing. Andre Heimgartner will make another big step forwards in his career behind the wheel of a Kelly Mustang. He scored his maiden podium and was the lead Nesson driver in the Mark's worst year in the sport. Expect multiple podiums and finishing near the back of the top 10 of the championship. Rick Kelly has done it before and will surely do it again. Expect podiums, possible race wins, and a return to the top 10 of the championship. It might not happen immediately, but will surely happen by the end of the year. Walkinshaw Andretti United. Bryce Forward will do it tough in his rookie year. A dominant Super 2 championship does not mean that he will be super impressive in his first year in the main game. Expect some top 15s and for him to beat rivals Macaulay Jones, Jack Smith and the super light entry in the championship and in the races. Chaz Mostert with Adam DeBore will make sure that WOW get into the championship top 10 and the top 5 would not be surprising. A few podiums would not be unreasonable. Chaz will be fast as always, strong qualifying performances, fastest laps, but maybe not a pole position. Team 18. Mark Winterbottom will benefit from a direct teammate in Scott Pye and will be able to deliver podiums in 2020. This should get him into the top 10 of the championship, but it will be a very competitive year. Only the very best will get in. Scott Pye moves from shaky ground to shaky ground. Still a rising star, he will eventually find a rhythm at Team 18 and put together a series of strong performances. Whether it is enough to get into the top 10 of the championship is hard to say. Expect both Team 18 drivers to put together strong performances at Bathurst. Frosty showed it is possible, and both drivers have strong history of top 10s at the mountain. Pye will probably finish near the back of the top 10 of the championship. Brad Jones Racing. Nick Percat will lead the charge at BJR. With arguably the strongest sponsorship package of the team, expect him to be the fastest. Experience keeps building up, and Nick will probably score a podium after a lean year. He will challenge for the top 10 of the championship. Bathurst hasn't been kind to Nick since 2018 with Macaulay Jones, but Thomas Randall will be a strong co-driver. Bathurst could be a good result. Todd Hazelwood steps into the car that scored BJR's most recent podium. He enjoys big family teams and keeps his racing tidy. If the car can be consistent, then Todd will qualify well and score a few top 10s. Otherwise, he's a qualifying ace, with some very impressive performances in Adelaide, Townsville and Newcastle in 2019. Expect him to be in the top 10 of the championship. Macaulay Jones enters his second year in the main game. He will find it difficult. The third BJR entry doesn't usually do well, and an expansion to 4 entries will be a big challenge for the team. Macca can qualify well and stays out of trouble on the races. If he can maximise his performances, then he should be able to get into the top 20 of the championship. Jack Smith did not have a fast car in Super 2 in 2019, but he managed to keep his racing tidy and stay out of trouble. His performances in the Enduros with now teammate Todd Hazelwood were respectable, and he didn't make any big mistakes. His wildcard performances were difficult, and especially Simmons Plains, which often has trouble with lap cars. He was able to qualify better than last on a regular basis. He could do the same as a main driver. Team Sydney. Now, there was an announcement recently that James Courtney has left Team Sydney, so Chris Pither is lucky to find himself back in the main game. Strong performances as a substitute driver for Gary Rogers Motorsport in 2019 was enough to convince Jonathan Webb to secure Pither's services for 2020. A reliable driver who will score decent points. He'll probably be in the top 20 of the championship. He is too experienced to be fighting the rookies. Matt Stone Racing. Zane Goddard did 2 years in Super 2 that were impressive but sporadic. He could deliver the best result for the Superlight entry in both qualifying and racing, but it is hard to tell. Jake Kostecki was often caught up in incidents in Super 2, and the wildcard Enduro campaign with Brody was similarly difficult. Nevertheless, he was able to keep up with the main drivers and in Super 2 made a big step forwards as a frontrunner. Could surprise in 2020. Gary Jacobson finds himself in a seat that could potentially deliver him good qualifying and race performances. Todd Hazelwood showed that the car can qualify and race well on its day. Gary suffered from mechanical issues, but also racing incidents in 2019. Expect a good quali and race performance, but entering the top 20 in the championship would be impressive. Well, that's my predictions for 2020. Obviously Team Sydney needs to get a replacement driver. They've got money on the car, so it's going to be interesting, that's for sure. I've separated all the drivers into little brackets, where I've got McLaughlin, Van Gisbergen, Whincup and Coulthard fighting for the championship. Waters, Mostert, Davison and Holsworth fighting for top 5 in the championship. And Reynolds, Kelly and Percat fighting for top 10 in the championship. Further down we've got Heimgartner, De Pasquale, Winterbottom and Pye fighting for being just outside the top 10. We've got LeBrock and Hazelwood fighting for top 15. And then we have Pither, Jacobson and Macaulay Jones fighting for top 20 in the championship. Then you got the Rookie Cup, and I expect Forward to do better than Smith and Goddard and Kostecki, but you never know. So yeah, that's my predictions. I hope you enjoy them, and can't wait to see how the year goes. Bye bye.